Welcome to another 180 podcast from Workforce 180, the nation's #1 training and consulting organization, where everything we do is in workforce language and specifically for workforce professionals. Today, your host is Workforce 180 CEO Mike Fazio, and his special guest is Stewart Ratzker, president of Advanced Coatings Group. Enjoy the episode.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Fazio, founder and CEO of Workforce 180, and welcome to another 180 podcast episode. Today, my special guest is Stewart Ratzker. He's the president of Advanced Coatings Group. Advanced Coatings Group specializes in bringing the greatest and most innovative coatings and plasters. We're going to learn a lot today from all around the world, and they make them available for the North American marketplace. I'll tell you, they're going to talk about an AeroTherm product, plasters, and things that are going to blow your mind. Stewart, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey, Stewart, for the audience out there, Advanced Coatings Group, it does a lot. But break it down for us. Where does AeroTherm, your newest, latest, and greatest revolutionary product, where does that fit into the whole organization?
Well, we go out actively to look for really the most interesting plasters and materials around the world. So we're actively looking for the state of the art in insulating plasters, and actually we found it in Europe. Europe is hands down way above the U.S. in their view to economy and keeping low use of energy. In all kinds of different things. We see all kinds of things, and really the best that we found was this coating. Is really quite extraordinary. The funny thing about it is it's utilizing American materials and American technology in just a unique way. See, what was done with AeroTherm in Europe, they have a very unique problem that we do not have quite as big a problem, but we have a very similar one. They have housing which is several hundred years old, lots of housing stock, which is 200, 300 years old, 100 years old. Wow. In those homes, like our pre-war homes, there is not really a good place to put insulation. You might have a cement wall or a brick wall. I mean, there's all kinds of different applications, but they don't have what is done in modern engineering, where they build a cavity in to put insulation. So the Europeans were looking for a plaster that could be applied on the interior of their walls to save heat loss. And they came up with AeroTherm. AeroTherm takes what are state-of-the-art space-age insulating materials, and they make from it a thermal reactive plaster. Now, that really sounds like a very funny thing to say, a thermal reactive plaster. What is that? Because that sounds, people say insulation all the time, but they don't say thermal reactive plaster. Actually, AeroTherm is the first of its kind of this material. So it is actually creating a new category. And what it does is, it changes the thermal comfort in buildings. So you actually are comfortable at lower temperatures than you would be under normal conditions. It also saves energy at the same time, so that with a thermally reactive coating, it absorbs heat and reflects it back. So rather than a traditional insulation, which you put in the cavity, right, where it slows down the transfer of heat, this actually absorbs heat and then reflects back of it, so that you know the feeling when we've had a wonderful cold snap here in New York and most of the East Coast and a large part of the United States.
Sure.
You can almost feel the cold on perimeter walls.
Absolutely.
You feel the heat going through. So when the cold weather like this, when you're near perimeter walls, you have that sense of cold, of a lower temperature, of the heat literally escaping your building, and that's in fact what's going on.
You're actually you're flashing me back to my childhood, living in a pre-war building in New York City, and yes, I remember that cool feeling in my apartment.
And if you actually touch perimeter walls, they feel cold.
Yeah.
They feel cold to the touch.
Absolutely, 100%.
And what AeroTherm does is it takes two products. Both are for want of a better word, space age insulation. They're used in cryogenic insulations, things used in space like aerogel, which you'd find on the Mars rover. It's the best known insulant to man. We have a great video of aerogel on our website, which was actually done by Penn and Teller. It's where Penn and Teller take a flamethrower and they literally push the flamethrower out at this sheet, and they put a guy behind the sheet. The sheet is made of aerogel. And on one side of the sheet, it's over 1700 degrees. And on the opposite side, it's 78 degrees.
Wow.
So, and that's a Penn and Teller video having nothing to do with us. They're taking the space-age material, insulating material, aerogel, people who know highly sophisticated insulating materials know aerogel, and they're showing what aerogel can actually do. And then we take also another product, again, from the high technology division of the 3M company, not exactly an unknown company. It is from their high-tech division, advanced technology division. They manufacture micron-sized glass bubbles filled with gas. So that means the little gas bubbles are so small you'd have to look at them at a microscope, and they're filled with gas. And these materials function in a completely different way from the aerogel. So together with these two insulating materials, both used for space, both used for cryogenic insulation and other high-tech. Actually, I think the original use of the 3M product was for undersea fuel pipes. The pipes that they put under the ocean
had to be insulated, had to be warm, right? Okay,
so,
got it.
Right, they have to insulate it. So what they do is they carve an open section and they fill it with the 3M product.
Wow.
Okay, and that allows the fuel to go through in very, very severe conditions. When things are really difficult to do, when it's a really extreme condition, you use extreme installations. So what they did in Europe is they took these two products together in a special binder. They mixed them together, and now they have the aspects of the two different high-end insulating materials. And they made this into a plaster, and then applied the plaster on these homes in Europe, which were hundreds of years old. And they put it in social housing, and they put it into industrial usages. They used it into all kinds of different usages. The AeroTherm is in nuclear power plants in Germany. It's in the Czech Republic. It's in England. There's a major study on AeroTherm going on in England right now by the British government. I mean, there's all kinds of usages going around the globe with AeroTherm, and it really represents another tool, a major tool for construction industry and for homeowners and real estate owners in order to either comprehensively change the thermal imprint of a home or a building. This allows you to deal with situations that you just couldn't do before. Okay, that there was no other product to do it. Whether it's a steel building where there's no good way to insulate it, and you could spray on AeroTherm. Yeah, we actually worked with the international director of sales and marketing for the Graco company in order to develop a spray methodology for AeroTherm, and it really does a really wonderful job.
You took this recently to the International Builder Showcase, and it was very well received, from what I understand.
Yeah, we won the best in our class, product of the year. So it really we got a lot of excitement. The truth is, we're probably bringing in every gallon we bring into the United States right now is taken in advance. So in other words, as we bring it in, contractors across the United States are just buying it up and taking it out. And people are kind of like falling over themselves to say to me how much they want. It's really an amazing situation to be in. It's quite fun as a distributor. We purchase containers and they just go in and they go out.
So let me ask you this. So how do you stay in the plaster business or the coating business for so many years? Because I have to imagine plaster is more common abroad than it is in the United States. Isn't everything today sheetrock and somebody's banging nails so they can put it up as quick as possible and sell it? Like how do you stay in business? How do you adapt? How do you innovate and stay relevant in such a competitive world?
This is a good example of how you stay relevant. You bring in something and you do something that's not available elsewhere. I mean, we're the national distributor of Stucco Italiano, which is lime-based plasters from Italy. You know, the famous Italian plasters that
Sure.
you'd see in really high-end residence. We're also a North America distributor for Shikui, Royal Japanese plasters. Those are the plasters that you would find in the castles of Japan, you know, like the White Egret in Japan, famous architectural marvels, beautiful, beautiful buildings that you would find there. And we bring those in for installers, and we run classes on a regular basis. And we really look for things which are unique and special, and we have all kinds of things in our company. We kind of work as a answer place for architects and designers.
Yeah, it sounds like more than a think tank. It sounds like a results tank, right? I mean, you know, today in the world, more than ever, it's harder and harder to stay in business. It's so competitive.
Well, as a young man, I used to do research and development for the military, and myself, Fred Flintstone, and Barney Rubble all worked together on the wheel. It was quite a while ago. So the military has gone a little bit past the wheel already. So my stuff is now ancient history. But I have an answer the question kind of attitude. And we seriously look at what's available, what's the best we can do, what's the best product we can bring in, how can we improve people's lives when we can. So we deal with coatings that absorb pollutants actually passively. That's one of the things that we sell. We sell all kinds of things, beautiful things, imaginary things, and of course, our newest product is AeroTherm, which is really gigantic, and we have all kinds of products in it. Things that can change elementary ways the way you do things. I can give you an example.
Sure.
In addition to the interior AeroTherm, which we use on the perimeter walls of a house in the north, and perhaps the ceiling, the roofline ceiling, we also have a product that we just came up with, which is AeroTherm Mastic. So it is a glue which has the same 3M micro-sized bubbles and aerogel in it, but in a mastic. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that if you use this in your basement on the floor and put down this on the flooring, your room would warm up 25% more quickly. So that's the thing about AeroTherm. In an application, because it warms up and it reflects heat so readily, rooms warm up 25% more quickly and they stay warmer longer. So it's really a very interesting and exciting material. We have AeroTherm Mastic for the floors. It also allows people to put it in, let's say, a bathroom if they want that bathroom to warm up more quickly, which is really exciting to people that we were just talking to, you know, from the show. People from Wisconsin were telling us, oh, we really did for the bathrooms. That's where we're going. We didn't actually think. Use this for tile in the bathrooms.
Sure,
it's a good idea. But we have a material as well that goes under in-floor heating systems, so that when you have a system where the heating system is in the floor and it warms up, we have a version of AeroTherm that goes underneath it, and it makes that more efficient.
Wow.
And then we have an industrial AeroTherm, which has been put on the top of buses and in hotels, and in, you know, sometimes on a boiler that the boilers run too hot to the touch, that it reflects the heat back to the boiler system.
I imagine,
and that if somebody touches it, it's no longer hot.
The possibilities. I mean, I was at a restaurant last night. They said the fireplace wasn't working because the propane line froze outside.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
An application, for insulation is required. There's endless probably possibilities.
Well, it's not really, you're right. There is endless possibilities. It's not insulation. It's a thermoreactive material, which is a little bit different. It does block the transmission of heat.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, we have a very interesting video, one of our other videos that we have on our website.
Okay.
It was done by a man who was actually trying to prove that AeroTherm couldn't work.
Really?
So he said, He said, yeah. He said, I looked at the numbers. It can't work that well. Nothing could work that well. And I'm going to prove it doesn't work. So it was a scientist. He took a stove, okay, to prove us wrong.
Okay.
And he covered half of the stove with AeroTherm, and he left the other stove raw. Then he took a clock, okay, and he timed it, and he videotaped it because he was going to show us it didn't work properly. And he put 2 ice cubes down, turned on the stove, electric stove,
okay,
and put 2 ice cubes on, and it was from the same, round circular stove, top plate, and put the 1 ice cube on the left and another one on the right. The left one was the AeroTherm side. In 40 seconds, the ice cube that was on the untreated side melted completely, and all of the water evaporated, which will happen when you put an ice cube on a stove. Makes sense.
Yep.
But on the other side, at 40 seconds, the AeroTherm side, the ice cube had not even started melting.
Wow.
And he filmed for a full minute his test. And at a full minute, the ice cube had still not started melting.
Wow. Where's that video?
So,
is that video on your website?
Yes, it's on my website. It's AeroTherm.
Yeah.
AeroTherm. AeroTherm.us. AeroTherm.us. And it's in an area that has videos. We have videos on installation and videos on how the material works. So it's a very informative website, and we're happy to answer anybody's question regarding the product on anything. And then actually we have an interesting product for southern climates. There we take a AeroTherm and we put it on the outside of homes. So instead of like in the north, like in New York where I live, okay, we put it on the inside, and in south we put it on the outside.
That keeps the heat.
Now that's a fascinating product. That's a fascinating product, because think of this for a second.
Yeah.
Aerogel, okay, which a blowtorch is not going to burn.
Right.
And micron-sized glass bubbles. Glass does not burn. Glass melts at about 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit, 1,470 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's the vast majority of our materials, aerogel and glass bubbles. And then we have a little binder in it. And in the binder for the exterior product, we put a supplicant in it so that even the binder won't burn. So it actually, although we haven't fully tested it, okay, the product provides protection, okay, in addition to doing other things from heat, because it's absorbing heat and reflecting it back, and it just doesn't burn. There was a test done in Germany for a nuclear power facility, because they were putting AeroTherm on the walls and the doors to see how it would burn. And actually, before we put the supplicant in, before we added that to it, so the product was added to it, they tested it and they found that the binder burned off in a few minutes, but the aerogel, they couldn't get the burn, and the glass bubbles weren't burning, and it was still doing the same function, even though it charred. When we added the supplicant to it in order to stop the binder from burning, then it went even higher. It made it more interesting. They thought it was great to start with, and then we added something to it to make it even better. So it's like really,
incredible.
We're every day we're going in a new direction to find new usages for the materials and to help more people.
Even after all these years, it must be exciting to go to work every day knowing that you really don't know what's around the corner, but you're really looking to continue to provide solutions.
We had a very funny thing happen to us at the show. Down the hall from us was NASA.
Okay.
And the people from NASA walked by the booth, and they said, "Oh, wow, you're using 3M bubbles and aerogel." I said, "That's really great." I said, "We're looking at 3M bubbles as a product which is NASA spinoff. They're evaluating it right now as a NASA spinoff. They're checking to see when it was first developed, to see they know they used it, but whether or not it was a spin-off meant did they use it before NASA started using it. Right. So they're evaluating it for that. And Harry said, aerogel, gee, that is a NASA spin-off 100%. They said, if we decide that aerogel, if 3M product, it becomes a NASA spin-off, would you be interested in being in our publication? I said, sure.
That's NASA.
Sure. Now, I don't know how it's going to work out, whether it's going to work out that that's going to happen. But the truth is that they do use it. They actually use it for cryogenics quite a bit and a lot of other purposes. I mean, the 3M bubbles, and they use aerogel all over the place. But it's fun to be considered that. I'm sitting on my desk with all kinds of labels and stuff that they gave me. I gave it to my grandchildren. I came back with all this stuff from NASA. It's so much fun. Grandpa was working with people from NASA. The funniest part was they all wanted to take pictures with me. Isn't it? There's something wrong with that. It's supposed to be I want to take pictures with them, not they want to take pictures with me.
Well, listen, don't underestimate your value to the world. Hey, Stewart, we're out of time. That was Stewart Ratzker, president at Advanced Coatings Group. Stewart, thank you so much for being a guest today on our program.
Thank you very much. It was a real pleasure being with you.
You've been listening to an episode of 180 Podcast by Workforce 180. To learn more about AeroTherm, visit aerotherm.us or call them at 646-472-5026. Make sure to download our app, available for free in Google Play and the Mac App Store. You'll get new episodes as they are released, as well as bonus content. To learn more about Workforce 180 and the services we provide, visit workforce180.com. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll be back soon with a new episode.